What? What is this place? Where are we to go? I guess forward is the only way. We're stuck in some kind of limbo. Limbo is a 2010 indie game from Playdead Studios about a boy who wakes up in limbo. All we can do is follow the light. We know there's a girl in a treehouse we're chasing, and that's pretty much all the detail we get from the game. Yeah, I'm serious. Don't worry though, we're going to use our environment and clues to dig deeper into the story. The game has no dialogue and provides us with little to no direction, allowing for a rather pleasant experience of theory crafting. There's definitely a story here, and it's our job to uncover the mysteries behind this game based on our context clues. Well, let's not delay. We don't want to be stuck in limbo forever, right? Let's get ready for a bumpy journey through 2010's Limbo. As always, if you enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe as it really helps the channel out. Comment below if you have any suggestions for future videos. Thank you. Let's discuss the gameplay, shall we? The game is a puzzle platformer that allows you to jump and grab objects and, well, that's it. It's simple yet enjoyable and relaxing, and some of the puzzles can be a bit tricky throughout. You aren't punished for dying much as checkpoints are frequent, and at most you may lose a minute of progress, so no stress. Our main obstacles are usually high walls to climb, bodies of water to cross, and oh yeah, giant table saws that will tear us into shreds. Probably should have mentioned that. Well, you don't want to get stuck in limbo, so we're always trying to move forward through this desolate world. We move boxes around in order to climb them, get these little brain worms attached to our head that can change our direction when we walk, and can even shift gravity for some creative puzzle solving. Okay, either we ate some funny mushrooms or Alice in Wonderland has become real life. I mean, what is this place? That brings us to the setting. Let's talk about the world of Limbo. Limbo is defined as the place where souls reside after death that's not exactly heaven and not exactly hell. We've probably all heard the phrase that you're stuck in limbo, and essentially this game visualizes what that saying really means. It serves as a purgatory where you don't really know where you are or where you're going, but you know you don't want to be here forever. We start off in a forest filled with bear traps and of course a giant spider. Then we move to a village with murderous older children, Lord of the Flies style, then an industrial city with electrified signs, and finally what seems to be the inside of a machine filled with deadly saws and turning gears ready to grind us to bits if we make one wrong step. We'll talk more on the meaning of these places in a bit, but for now let's focus on the story of the game. The story opens with the player character, a young boy waking up on a forest floor, lost and confused. With no other directions, we simply wander forward through a dangerous trapped area, complemented by a giant spider. Eventually, we reach what looks to be a destroyed treehouse with a young girl awaiting us underneath, only for our brain to be infested with a maggot-like creature that controls our movement and causes us to wander away. After getting the maggot eaten off our head, yeah, I know that sounds kind of weird, but that is what happens. When we return, the scenery has changed and the girl is gone. I hate when brain eaters cause me to go the wrong way and lose my friends. Sounds like every other Tuesday. Next, we wander into a village with some rather hostile older kids who have rigged countless traps to kill us. These include bear traps, crushing plates, and even darts shot directly from them. This area is filled with what we can only assume to be the corpses of prior victims. We even have to use some of these corpses to solve puzzles at times, and I know that feels so wrong, but gotta do what we gotta do. Well, after we give them a "you stupid" moment and make them walk into their own traps, we move on to an industrial city and traverse some trap signs, only to finally move into a dark factory of some sort. We traverse saws, gears, anti-gravity tech, and machines, just like any other common obstacle course, and finally break through some glass to be reunited with the girl under the treehouse, where we fade to black, only accompanied by the sound of buzzing flies. You're probably confused, and it's okay, I was too. Let's theory craft and talk together about what this game means. So there are many different theories about the game, but let's begin with the basics. There are two paths here that people believe. One is that the boy and the girl are both dead and can't move on to the afterlife until they're reunited. And one is that the boy is dead and can't move on to the afterlife until he is laid to rest. Also, it is widely accepted that the girl we chase is the boy's sister, just an FYI. First, the theory that both our characters are dead holds some validity. A widely theorized explanation for the story is that both children were killed in a car crash, which explains the bursting through glass randomly at the very end of the game, similar to a windshield, and that this represents closure on the children's death, allowing them to finally move on. It's also worth noting here that the title screen after the game shows 2 clusters of flies buzzing. Could be a coincidence, but could also hint that there were 2 deaths. There is also a theory that perhaps the children died from the treehouse collapsing, as we see it in a pretty bad state in our game, and that the children frequently played here so they non-verbally agreed upon meeting up here in the afterlife to move on together. I think these angles are both valid, and the 2 swarms of flies seem to be the strongest evidence in suggesting that both children have passed rather than just the boy, but let's look at the other perspective. We also have the case that only the boy has passed away and the sister is mourning him throughout the game. The boy cannot move on to the afterlife until he is laid to rest, which explains the girl kneeling in the dirt at the end of the game, likely over our grave. This explains her sudden jerk and shock animation when we approach her at our grave, as it almost seems like she feels our presence, which, trust me, if any of us felt our dead sibling near us, it would give us a jump, I'm sure. This also seems to indicate that the boy was saying one last goodbye to his sister as he moved on to the afterlife, which is sweet, but oh so sad. Poor kid. This interpretation, I feel, is also strong and is well supported by the reaction of the sister, but again, it's not clear which theory is correct because there is no right answer. It's open for interpretation, and it's our job to form these theories. Personally, I like to believe that only the boy passed away, and him coming to say goodbye to the sister as she lays him to rest is symbolic of real life. When you attend a funeral and you can almost feel the presence of the person who has passed in the air, this is what the game is trying to emulate for us, from the perspective of the deceased. Or at least I'd like to think so. It's sad, but also sweet and comforting to know that they never really leave us, you know? Okay, I'll stop before the waterworks start coming on. One other thing I want to discuss is the light in the game. This is very much a go towards the light at the end of the tunnel game, as we constantly chase the light that guides us to our next destination. The common saying when somebody is dying is people say don't go towards the light if they don't want them to die yet, which is presented through the imagery and setting of the game. The light even helps us out when we get a brain eater that's trying to corrupt us and have us run into danger, as we see a brain eater cause the death of another person in Limbo. However, if you make it to the light with a brain eater attached, the light actually repels the creature and the creature fears the light, indicating that the light is the solution for this world and can lead us to salvation. Or maybe that's an extreme reach. I don't know. I might be rambling, but I like this idea, and I do think it's clear that the light is a source of guidance and comfort in this world. So let me know in the comments what you think. So the boy is definitely dead, and maybe the girl is too, so what's all this dangerous stuff in the world mean? Why are there giant spiders and murderous older children attacking us? Well, it's heavily believed that the world is shaped to represent the fears of our young boy trapped in the world. The spider represents his arachnophobia, the water represents his fear of drowning and inability to swim, the older boys could represent people who bullied him in life that he feared, or some sort of social anxiety. The brain eaters could represent his fear of being controlled, while the darkness at the end could be a fear of isolation. As for the hotel and the saws throughout the game, perhaps these are an indication of something that happened in the boy's life. Maybe these were his parents' workplaces, or maybe something tragic happened at these locations. I'm not too sure, but the world is shaped to fit the fears of our main character, and to truly move on to the afterlife, he must overcome these fears. Now that's pretty deep. What a trial. Now I'm terrified of rats, so I hope I don't have to crawl through rats in my trial or something, because this kid is braver than me. Anyway, what makes this game so strong is the world building and context clues that allow you to craft your own story. Questions as simple as, how did we end up here, are not directly answered for you, which I think can be a beautiful thing that encourages the creativity of the players. There are no right answers, and the story is your own to shape what makes sense to you, and that is a hard effect to emulate. While the game is not perfect by any means, Limbo provides a relaxing, enjoyable couple of hours as we navigate the world in hopes of reaching the light at the end of the tunnel and moving on to the next stage. I hope I didn't give you too much of an existential crisis here. This game is worth a shot if you haven't played it before, and I can't wait to dive into more theories about the world and what it all means. Until then, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also check out my Little Nightmares video here if you want to hear more about another awesome indie game. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.